When we get ready to go, can you just do that? Everybody.
Push record?
Yep.
Mr. Barnett? No idea if he shows up, we'll. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order. For roll call, we have 5 of 7 members. Vice Chair Thompson and Member Barnett are not currently here, but we will go ahead and proceed. We need approval of the meeting minutes for October 14th, special meeting, and November 3rd, regular meeting. May I have a motion? Motion by Member Friedrich, a second by Member Erickson. Any discussion or? All right, all in favor of approving both sets of meeting minutes, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes. We'll move on to 3, and that is appearance of members of the public or county employees. Do we have any?
No, Chairman, that's where we do not.
All right, very good. We'll go to department matters. 4A1A, and that is request approval for the resolutions authorizing the county board chair to assign tax sale certificate of purchase, and those are found on pages 3 through 5. And so may I have a motion to put that on the floor? Make a note that Mr. Barnett is here. Thank you, Mr. Barnett. The motion from Mr. Erickson and a second by Member Friedrich. And is there any discussion, any questions for Ms. McLean? She is here if we have any questions. This is unfortunately routine, but each one is unique, and they are compliant to all the codes that we need to have them compliant to. So no questions. So all in favor of requesting the authorizing of the assigned tax sale certificates, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. We'll move on to 4A1B, and that is to accept and place on file the county treasurer's monthly financial reports, which have been distributed to us all. And may I have a motion to put that on the floor? I have a motion by Member Barnett and a second by Member Willett. And Ms. McLean.
Am I gonna just sit back here? Is there a chair?
You could sit with member
okay,
or.
Well, I'll just speak from back here, that's fine. So, if you don't mind, I'm gonna take my mask off, so
we can hear you, thank you.
Here. So I'm not muffled. In regards to your sales tax revenue, your income tax revenue, the level the playing field, we talked about that earlier this year, where the state of Illinois is now taxing internet sales. As you can see, that is continuing to bring in quite a bit sales tax revenue. For the month of November, we have 859,000 total across the board compared to 710,000 a year ago. Year to date, total 12,186,000 compared to 9,312,000. That's just a humongous increase, and historically we have never had anything like that. Year over year, but of course, this is level the playing field coming in. And then last month we had that huge PPRT distribution as a result of the state Illinois Department of Revenue recalculation on that PPRT. So this is very good for us. It'll be obviously very, very good for our overall financial position in 2021. Moving on down to the shared sales tax revenue, and the numbers that we're getting here are just as high because of that level playing field. So obviously, Town of Normal, City of Bloomington, they're getting more, they're passing along more. So our year-to-date revenue is $4,020,000 compared to $3,253,000. So the fund equity is at $12,928,000 in that shared sales tax fund. Property tax revenue, 95.34% is in. We are fully calculated, fully reconciled, ready to push out our final, just waiting for DevNet to do their final review as well, and then we'll go ahead and push that out hopefully by the end of the week. And then the motor fuel tax, again, you can see the benefits of the renewal fund on the county motor fuel and the township motor fuel. We have received on that renewal fund a total of $1.3 million this year, and under the township a total of $1.1 million. So those were monies that we did not have going back I think a year or two ago. So I was going to highlight that so we can see what's coming back to the county government. On the investment report, still, obviously we're dealing with very, very low rates, and nothing is going to move. I mean, at the earliest, it might move later next year. But we're doing the best that we can. Still getting 0.04 and 0.05 right now is a really, really good rate. It's sad, but at least we're getting something. So total across all funds, $96,860,000. And then moving on to the next report is the summary of our self-insured plan. And it's always difficult when finance falls on the very first day of the month. So I can't pull in any of the information for the month of November because it's just not available yet. But for the month of October, and the same thing I think happened last month for the month of October, we weren't able to pull in our October numbers, so we're presenting them to you today. Year to date, our expenses are $5,071,000. That's just $178,000 over last year. One thing I will note that happened during the month of October, and when Benefit Planning Associates comes in here and they talk with you guys and they talk with the administrator's office about our plan, they talk about stop loss, and that's like our insurance policy that protects us in those events that go over a certain level. And you can see that during the month of October, we received a substantial stop loss credit. And so it prevented us from basically paying out far more than we did. So any questions on that report? So I mean, just on like column 6, you can see that your year-to-date stop loss insurance, your fees that you pay, $675,000, but we have recovered $389,000. We've otherwise we would have paid that out had we not had that, so. Then final report is a nursing home, and, the nursing home for the month of October, their revenue was $709,840, their expenses were, $447,094. They had a very good month, this is the second month in a row, where their revenue has exceeded their expenses. Year to date, total revenue is 5.3 million, expenses are around the same 5.5 million. $161,000 difference there on where their year to date expenses have exceeded their revenue. So it's very close. This is the first time that we've ever been this close. And of course, this doesn't count all of the adjustments that are gonna happen during the month of December. There's quite a few of them that will go in. The outstanding AR, $3,475,000. Cash ended at $490,584, and their fund equity ended at $3,666,000. So their fund equity has only changed by the portion where their expense has exceeded their revenue. Any questions?
Alright, no questions, so let's vote to accept and place on file these financial reports. All in favor?
Aye.
Same sign if you oppose. The motion passes. Anything else that you need to share with us? No? Very good, thank you. Appreciate all that you've been doing, because I know it's crazy right now, and you'll get those last distributions out and to all the taxing bodies for $12 or $15.
I'm already breathing easy. I mean, once I turn it over to DevNet, then I just kind of, I can like, okay.
Well done.
Yeah.
We appreciate the efforts and your staff too. We know that they
Thank you, yes,
very
absolutely.
diligent. We are going to go on to 4B. That is Kathy Michael, County Clerk. She doesn't have any items to present for action or any information other than monthly reports, but we do have her staff member here. And Ms. Michael both. And I think we all know he is our individual who is responsible for the Recorder's Office of Deeds. And as we have seen, real estate stuff has been crazy, and they've been doing a very fine job. And so on behalf of this committee, we want to thank you and your staff for all they have been doing. And
We're also here to, if there's any questions on the line item transfers at the very end, if you have any questions.
okay, yes. Are there any questions or anything that I do want to acknowledge? I don't even remember when it was, 2 weeks ago that you had the voting equipment vendor demos, and then those who attended were able to provide feedback, and I did attend. I think I also saw Member Rogan and Member Chung also attended, and a lot of people that are judges, I think, for the most part. Am I correct, Ms. Michael?
Yes, we'll define that very thoroughly in the executive report. But yeah,
And I-
18 to 25 Democratic and Republican election judges also attended.
So it was very well attended and very well done, and I just want to thank you for the effort. Really gave a good idea as to the options that were available, and as Ms. Michael said, the executive committee will have that summary and selection brought to them, but I just wanted to acknowledge it at this meeting since you were here, that I know you and your staff worked very hard to organize that and accumulate all the results, and so it was, I appreciated it, and I like the one you chose, but it wasn't all about what I liked, but I thought it was a
Thanks for attending.
good job, so. We do have then, so that's all we have. Any questions or any, concerns or comments needed for Kathy Michael, County Clerk? Any questions on the reports that are started on page 6? Mark, do you want to share anything?
No, we've had a really busy year this year, as opposed to the last couple of years, probably the busiest we've had since 2013. We're looking at recording 30,000 documents this year, which is great, you know. Of course, there's a lot of activity at Rivian, so that helps.
That activity, it means work for you, so.
Exactly, work
But-
for other people as well.
Okay, well, again, thank you, please thank your staff, and the same thing with your staff related to all the work that they do on a daily basis, but also especially the effort that was made for the vendor demos. It was greatly appreciated. So we're gonna move on to 4C1A, and that's Marshall Thompson. I do it all the time to you, I am so sorry. And we have request approval, and I don't know, could we put these together? These are both, one of them is sheltering agreement, and the other one is removal. So I think we could maybe put those two together. So C1A and B, and those are request approval of the animal control shelter agreement with the city of Bloomington, and then request approval of an animal control removal service agreement with the city of Bloomington. And may I have a motion for that to be put on the floor? Member Lehman, and a second by Member Woolrath. And do you want to share some insight into what this is? I think some of us know, but there may be others that haven't been on the committee before.
This is our intergovernmental agreement that allows us to perform the services for the city of Bloomington for their removal of animals outlined in their ordinance and in our agreement, and then on the sheltering side, to shelter those animals at our facility. So it's our course of daily operations. So we have this with Bloomington and the town of Normal, but each one is obviously a little bit different.
All right, any questions? Member Lehman?
Yeah, so are there any changes or any adjustments in this agreement to the previous 3-year agreement, or is
No, I
it pretty
think-
much the same?
They're pretty much the same, they just, at each time we redo it, clean up the language just a little bit, like scriptures errors or just little things like that, but it's been going great for many years, and it's been a good service to the community and emphasis on rabies prevention and protecting the public education, wildlife education resources, getting back into the community and reinforcing the rabies vaccination, spay neuters, just doing a lot of work, boots on the ground to protect people and animals. So we're really fortunate to have such a great community, and these agreements help meet those accomplishments.
Yeah, definitely top lines how incredibly busy you all must be with everything. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so hearing none, we're going to vote on C1A and B. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes unanimously. We're going to move on to 4C1C, and that's request approval of emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation budget ordinance, general fund 0001, animal control department 0032, and those are on page 24 and 25. May I have a motion to put that on the floor? Member Woolrath makes the motion, and Member Lehman has a second. And if you want to enlighten us on this, it looks like you've got just like some transfer that you need to do.
We received some donations from private citizens and an estate, and also additional funds were granted through what we call the Menson Fund for medical treatment of the animals. So we're just using this to make sure the animals get the treatment that they need for the remaining ones that are in the facility, and then replacing a lot of those damaged items from the flood that occurred several months ago. So those things we need to continue to do a great job that we do, and so things are moving right along with that. But we are just so thankful for the community support and the donations that we've received, and this is just to authorize us to move forward with the purchasing of those items.
Looks like 94,000 additional, is that right?
Yeah.
That's a significant sum, so.
I know, I'm so proud of this community. It's just amazing that they want to help us so much.
All right, any questions? All right, seeing none, we will vote on this emergency appropriation for the Animal Control Department 0032. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Very good, the motion passes. We do have monthly reports, so do you feel compelled to provide us any insight or highlights for your monthly reports or monthly activities?
I think we're right on track where we normally are, and animal adoptions and transfers are doing really well. We're doing a good job finding homes for all of our adoptable animals. So we're really proud of the work that the staff and the volunteers are doing to help accomplish those goals and facilitating all the programs that we're doing to help get the animals into forever homes. We're right along with our rabies tag distribution process, where we issue all the tags to all the veterinarians in the community and all the according supplies that they need to have for issuing those tags throughout the year. So that in itself takes a couple months just to prepare, because you have to calculate your tags, get everything serially numbered, get all the certificates, get that stuff put together in a nice little package, and then we deliver it the last week of December, so the veterinarians are ready on January 1st to roll right into the next year. So staff's been doing a really good job at that, and they deserve a lot of credit for their hard work. So let's see what else. I don't know, we're doing great. I couldn't be prouder of our program, so thank you for all your support.
Well, thank you for what you do. I think McLean is probably spot on what she has said.
I can't see Rob Chuck, I don't know if there's anybody.
All right, so we thank you again very much. We're gonna move on to 4D. Michelle Anderson is here, thank you very much. And she doesn't have any items for action, so we don't have anything for 1A, but for 2A, we have an audit report, and that's a commissary system. And so if you want to kind of share what this is, and kind of, I think, more the results, why you do it, and then kind of the results of that.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much.
No problem. So, like most things working with Springfield, this is one of those changes the Department of Corrections made. They used to come in and audit the commissary account themselves, and then decided they could save money if they just made each county do their own audit. So I did this. Our option either was, since I'm independent from the sheriff and independent from the county board, I was possible to do this, or we could bid it out and hire somebody. So Sheriff Sandage and I agreed that I would do the audit. And the basic requirements are outlined there. Basically, that commissary needs to be offered at least weekly, and it is. That the jail staff cannot profit, which makes sense, but something we need to check, and they do not. And that the prices charged do not exceed for the same item local here in the store. So if one of us were to walk in and buy the same item at Hy-Vee or Walmart or whatever, basically we're not price gouging a captive audience, I guess, is probably what they're looking at. And then that the profits are used for education or other purposes deemed appropriate by the sheriff, and going through accounting records. So that was a fun week. going through jail records. But everything was fine. The staff member over there was very good at getting me everything I needed. And the command staff was good to work with as well. Diane Hughes and the assistant superintendents, Ovid Wyden and Matt Proctor, okay. So they were all very good to work with and everything was fine and we are gonna be in compliance with the DOC review that they came to do last month.
Excellent. Thank you for that effort, because I know that was quite the job to be able to go through that.
Well, when
But
they make changes and don't really communicate with the people that have to coordinate those kind of things, it's frustrating, is probably a nice word, but.
obviously the staff is doing what they needed to do.
Correct,
So that's good. Question, Member Frieder,
How
and then
much
we'll go to
time?
Member Lehman.
And how much time was spent and how many people involved on this audit?
From the sheriff's side, I can't speak, cause I do not know. On our side, it was me, probably the better part of a week, maybe 4.5 business days combined. You know, I'd put in a request, work on that, and then say, now I need X, Y, Z, and then they give it to me the next day, so. It's not one of those things where, you know, you clock in and you work 8 hours. It's, you know, you piecemeal, they get back and forth, so it's probably about 4.5 business days. I can't even begin to tell you what I think an outside audit firm would have charged us, but
Was there any unresolved issues?
no, sir.
And Member Lehman?
Thank you for taking this on. So what, was this the very first year that we've done this in-house?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, previously, Department of Corrections did it when I came in, which is why probably in mid-October, when jail staff contacted me and needed the audit, I was like, oh yeah, you just give them the CAFR and they do it, and they're like, okay, and then they call and they're like, so they say no, and they have a memo for you. I'm like, oh, great, lovely.
Thank you for doing it.
Okay.
So in some of these areas, I was just curious, if there were some like follow-up questions, or if the, members or public had more detailed questions, is there anywhere where that information is public or accessible?
That would probably be up to the sheriff's department and a FOIA for them, I don't know. With me, when I request documents, be it from Ms. McLean's staff on payroll data or any other department, they provide it, it's confidential, and then that becomes the state's attorney's problem to argue on a FOIA. Thank you for that. As far as follow-up, one of the main things I asked was, for understanding, Sheriff Sanders' approval. One thing I would say is just looking at the expenses last year, I know it was the first year, but I can guarantee you there were things that were new last year. For instance, there was apparently a COVID outbreak in the jail, which I think was widely discussed in the paper. And so getting everything disinfected, they sent probably 4 or 5 large loads over to Starcrest to have everything professionally laundered and cleaned and just get it very well disinfected. And that was paid for out of here. Had it not, we still weren't sure, and the attorneys probably would have a better legalese on what we're required to do from Department of Corrections standpoint, but we still had to get this stuff cleaned. So it either had to get paid from the general fund or from this. So he paid for it out of that. I did notice they also paid for a vehicle for jail transport. And I guess during the COVID outbreak, we still had to feed the inmates and the kitchen had to be shut down, so they paid for meals. And so just getting an understanding of how Sheriff Sandage approves those expenses and just getting a whole, everything else seemed very routine, counseling, educational, subscriptions to law library, stuff like that.
I guess the area that I'd be more interested in, or at least curious about, are like the line items that would be associated with the item number 4 in compliance, where it's talking about the net profits from the commissary system. And it is, so to see where the profit from the commissary system is actually used in a line item detail to say it's used for this specific thing.
Okay.
So that's something I would need
So-
to interact with the sheriff on to get, as opposed to the audit.
Yes, and it
firm.
it is included in our audit, we book the entire year's transactions in, and it is a fund, if you look at the CAFR on one of the back, schedules, and I can't tell you the page number right off, but it is back there. As far as the profits, I know Keith Commissary is like the large one, and so what they do is they just deduct. So for instance, if we owe it's never this much, if we owe $1,000 and we have a 15% commission, they just have us pay $850. So there's not like a check that you could see or whatever. And as far as the ledger, that's all kept in the sheriff's department for expenses.
Okay, so not a out there published thing to say, the commissary earned X amount and a report from the auditor's office would say, it went to, this educational experience, this,
Correct.
okay.
And it is difficult because since the commissions aren't paid by a check in all instances, I think in one of the 3 areas it is, it just makes it more difficult because you can't say, well, you know, we got X amount of commission from Keith. Well, you have to go through every bill and calculate the 15%, and then they were explaining to me, very thorough, I mean, this is how thorough it is. On Keith, when they do the regular orders that the inmates do once a week, we get the 15% commission. But then the sheriff's department also does multiple bulk orders and for indigent individuals and things that we just have to keep on hand that can't afford them. And so that we don't get the commission, we just have to pay 100%. So, I mean, it's I learned a lot more about a jail commissary system than I ever intended to learn in my entire life about a jail commissary system. So,
Thank you for your time and
Sure.
your response, appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions? Again, thank you for that. Do you have anything else to share with us today?
I don't believe so.
Appreciate your time, and so we will move on to 4E1A, and that's Jerry Vogler, and that's Veterans Assistance Request Approval of an irrevocable license for the use of property granted to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. So may I have a motion to put that on the floor? We have a motion from Member Barnett and a second by Member Erickson. And I think we can find that on 39 through 43. And Mr. Vogler, if you would like to provide us a little bit more insight, please.
Sure. I'm Jerry Vogler, I'm the superintendent of the VAC over there in the health department on the 4th floor. And I've been there not quite 18 years now, and this is the first time that we've ever had a challenge about allowing somebody from the vet center, one of their certified counselors, to come in and use our facility periodically to counsel combat zone readjustment veterans. This practice of allowing the vet center people to come to our facility is because the nearest facility up until 2019 for mental health was in Peoria at the community-based outpatient clinic up there. Like all of the mental health facilities and practitioners and so forth, there's a shortage. And especially with post-traumatic stress and anxiety disorder and those type of functions, when they go to see the mental health facility at the CBOC, whether it be in Peoria or now in Bloomington, is so short that they will go in and they will open up the subject about what's really bothering them and causing their PTSD type symptoms, and then the session is over. And then they say, well, is there, when I can set the next appointment, I'm beginning to feel a little bit more comfortable about opening up. And what invariably happens when you go to a CBOC or the mental health down at Danville, the big facility, is they say, oh, sure, we can get you in there in about 3 months. After they've stirred all the emotions and stuff that they've been holding back for years, they can't get back in. So what the Vet Center, it was actually established because of the Vietnam War to provide these type of services through a function that's different from the VA health system. VA health system has nothing to do with the Vet Center, except they approach mental health from a professional standpoint, psychiatrists, psychologists. And the vet center approaches it from most of the people in there after their training and so forth are people that had anxiety disorder and some of the other things coming from combat exposure. And they are the ones who sit down in both group sessions as well as individual therapy, including even family sessions when the need comes alive. I look back and this thing started probably when we moved the VAC from the lobby of the relatively new Law and Justice Center over to the McLean building. And then it moved over there in 2003 to the health department building, and now we've moved up on the fourth floor about 15 years ago. It's really something that I do not believe has anything to do with the relationship of the VAC, the county, or the VA itself, in as much as the IDVA, Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs, all over the state is in an uproar right now because of the closures of offices, not being available to do services and so forth. And the fact that they've turned over about 5 directors of the IDVA in the last 6 years. Don't know why that is, part of it's political, I'm sure, but they have a new one in finally. This is the 3rd one in about 14 months. And this person is going in and kind of, I think, cleaning up all the little questionable things and saying, okay, well, we need some type of a contract that says our people can go down there and do this through the vet center. And we need an agreement from wherever that facility is gonna be, whether it be here or someplace else, that they understand that we're down there to provide certain services, we're divided, the county's not responsible for what they do, we're not responsible for what the county does. And they can actually revoke it anytime they want to. So the big thing is, if we don't have this, this is a major part of the plan that started about 5 years ago to reduce the homelessness and to reduce the suicide rate among veterans. And without this additional weekly visit down here, spends the whole day counseling and so forth, we're gonna have some bad outcomes because people will not be able to get those services in a timely manner that's gonna help them. I would expect sometime or other there's going to be discussions with the triage group and Fuse and everything else, because this is one part of their population, but certainly not all of it. And what they're asking here is for the county to allow them to do that. We can revoke it, they can revoke it upon their desire or our desire. I sent it to the attorneys. I'm not an attorney, so I wanted to have them have a chance to make sure that, look at from the county standpoint, that there shouldn't be any issues of it, based on the memorandum of understanding. This, by the way, is done in a number of places around the state that also have vet center people being located at remote locations, not just county, county buildings and so forth, but private buildings too. In fact, I think we're one of the last to actually have the memorandum shoved on our nose to be signed. Any questions?
Any questions for Jerry? Well, first of all, thank you for your service, personal service, but also your service for the veterans of our county, and to recognize and push this through because of the need, obviously, you see, and we're just trying to, as you said, clean up the outstanding things, so we wanna be, certainly wanna be in compliant. We don't want to have the services stop because we were not able to do something that needed to be done, so.
Well, the vet center has always kind of been the foster child over here with the VA. They are very niche oriented, very narrow in their services and so forth, and they're not really a part of the VA health services directly. They're funded differently, they're located differently, but they're starting to work together now with this big effort on the homeless program and on the suicide reduction. And that's why, I think that's one of the reasons why this is coming up, is they're getting a little bit more respect that they need to be looked after as well as a big part of the VA, so.
All right, questions? Any additional questions? Very good. We'll go ahead and vote on item E1A, and that's request approval for the revocable license for the use of property granted to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Anything else you want to share with us tonight?
Yeah, just one thing, and that is, I understand that, now that it's been approved at Finance Committee, that it will go to the county board on the 9th of December, I believe,
16.
16th? Okay,
And I think it'll be probably consent, or will it not be consent?
I know it's not too far off, and my comment is this, that the IDVA and Springfield, not the IDVA, the vet center people that are running at the higher levels will not let us hold sessions here on Wednesdays until the entire county board signs off on it, so just gotta let you know the timeframe we're talking about.
Well, then let's not miss it.
Appreciate that.
I think I will have to say our administration is usually very good at, once something is approved at committee, I can't recall any time that we've ever missed that, so, but we appreciate your sense of urgency, and, I think that's probably as quickly as it can be done, but, it'll give you you'll miss next week, basically.
Okay, one thing also you might be aware of, and I'll provide some statistics I usually do periodically. The amount of revenue that comes into McLean County for a variety of different VA programs is in the millions. And a lot of local agencies like the Township Welfare and General Assistance would be very overwhelmed if they didn't have those kind of programs. So everybody seems to be working really well and have for, well, even back when 74R ran it, all the way back to 1985, so we've been here a while. All right, well, thank you very much.
And thank you, appreciate what you've done. All right, we're gonna move on to 4F, 1A, and that is request approval for a licensee raffle application. I think that was Humane Society or something, if I recall. And may I have a motion to put that on the floor? We have a motion by member Lehman and a second by member Friedrich. And, does anybody have any questions? This, as we have said before, this runs through, basically, Julie, you, helped take this program and, bring it forward so we can make sure all of the i's are dotted and t's are crossed so we can, make approval on these, raffles that are done by charitable organizations, so,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I just want to point out that there's a Scrivener's error in the memo, in the cover memo where the license to the Human Society.
Oh, Mr. Humane forgot the E.
That would be the one that's over here trying to cross her eyes and got, or cross her fingers out her eyes.
Oh, yeah, they're probably different, so,
Yeah,
They could be the same.
yeah.
so, does anybody have any questions? Yes.
I just have to call out a big massive thank you to administration. I see that on page 48, we've gotten the documentation adjusted, so it says no all persons buy these presents as opposed to men, which it previously said. I know there was a fair amount of work that went into not only getting the document updated, but also sharing it widely with the folks who were the frequent users. So thank you all for your adjustments on this. It's noted and appreciated.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. We found out that there were over 50 regular raffle requests.
Goodness gracious, okay, that's a lot. Thank you.
Yes, and Kyle in our office is actually the one that she and I discussed it, and I think she went over with Cassie, but did a mail distribution and got all of that out for us, so.
Wonderful. Well, I give Kyle my appreciation then, and I'll make sure to pass that along next time I'm in the office. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, no other questions or no other comments related to the raffle? All in favor of accepting this request for approval, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? No opposition, so the motion passes. We'll move on to F1B, and that is approval of an engagement letter with Clifton Larson Allen LLP. And that is found on page 53 through 72. And may I have a motion to put that on the floor? We have a motion by member Brennan and a second by member Lehman. And Ms. Taylor? think we all know what this is about, but.
Yes, so thank you, Chairman Metzger. So last year, we switched firms for our outside audit in preparation for our CAPR and went with the firm from Clifton Larson Allen LLP. We had a positive experience with that relationship and putting that together. I know they worked very closely with Becky McLean, our treasurer, as well as our auditor. And we would like to engage with them this year as well. In our previous RFP, we did have a component of that that allowed for us to extend that relationship for 2 additional fiscal years. What we're asking for you tonight is that we are able to exercise that and engage with them for our next year's audit, or the end of this year's audit. For next year.
So this is just for 1 year then?
Correct. For the fiscal year, for them to perform the audit for the fiscal year ending December 31st of this year, 2020.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? I do know that we had to spend, and I think Ms. McNeil and Ms. Anderson both will attest that having a new relationship was a challenge, and so having consistency for the right reasons is probably a positive, so.
There's enormous amount of background work that is required from the treasurer's office, some from the administration, but the majority is from our financial officials, and we appreciate that relationship. They worked very well with Hope Wheeler and her team. It was a positive experience on our end, at least.
Okay. Are there any questions? All right, seeing none, we can vote for F1B, and that's the engagement letter for Clifton Larson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No, nobody opposed it, so that motion passes. We do not have a closed session item tonight, I don't believe, do we?
No, that was resolved.
Okay, very good. But we do have bills to pay, and our auditor has approved the bills for payment, and that indicates that they comply to the adopted ordinances, resolutions, and policies for the county code. And our total is $1,084,990.17. May I have a motion to pay the bills? I have a motion by member Friedrich and a second by member Lehman. Any questions? I think these were sent out to us in advance, so. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes. Are there any other business or communications for this meeting tonight?
Did you include the transfer in that, or? Or the transfer, I believe, on the back?
Yes, I'm sorry. That does include the transfer that we should have. I probably should have brought that out more extensively. We do have that transfer that Ms. Michael talked about, so we do need to have a transfer for the county clerk. And it looks like we are transferring same amounts of, looks like about $11,000, I guess, is that right? On page 7, a little over. So they,
Make the motion that we pay the bills and accept the transfers
So-
as noted.
I think, why don't we go ahead, since we already paid the bills, why don't we have a motion just to have this transfer? I think that would be, since otherwise we'll have to revote, so you make the motion for the appropriation transfer, is that correct, Member Friedrich?
Yes.
And may I have a second on that? I have a second by Member Wolrab. Any questions? Ms. Michael is here, in case you do have, no? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No, nobody opposed it, so that, transfer also passes. Thank you, for the clarification, Ms. Morlock. And, seeing nothing else, I think we can be adjourned.
Cassie, can you reach over with that stuff? Thank you.